On this episode, we're going to hear from Meaghan Langston. She supports women from stay-at-home moms to women business owners with her business as a productivity coach. You're not going to want to miss her story on this episode of Getting to Know the Triangle. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Getting to Know the Triangle. I'm here with Meaghan Langston, hearing a little bit about her business, The Meeting Mentor. Meaghan, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, Meaghan, share a little bit about yourself, please. Introduce yourself, maybe your family, how long you've been in the Triangle.
Sure.
And then I'd love to hear what your favorite restaurant is here in the area.
Oh, yeah. So I'm originally from Michigan.
Okay.
I was born and raised in a suburb of Detroit, but I've been here for about 15 years. I met my now husband in high school. I went to high school here and never left Durham.
High school sweetheart.
Yeah.
That is cute.
Yeah.
My goodness.
But we love Durham. We're foster parents in Durham. We've been foster parents for about 4 years, expecting our first biological child in a few weeks.
Very sweet.
And my favorite restaurant, I'd say, is Juju on 9th Street.
Oh,
Asian
so
tapas
good.
place. It's Asian fusion. It's really good.
Very good. Nice. That is a good one. We love tapas.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Fun fact, I actually used to work there when I was before I started my business, and I was in transition. So my favorite restaurant where I like to eat is also a place that I once worked, and it's kind of part of my story as well. Yeah, it does speak to it
because it either turns you away or points you further.
You know the quality. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. We have an inside scoop. Good. Sweet. Well, thanks for introducing yourself a little bit, Meaghan. It's awesome. Your guys' heart behind the adoption and your first baby coming along too.
Thank you.
Do you guys have like a name or anything like that thought of already?
Yeah, her name's Maya.
Maya, so sweet, sweet, nice. Well, thanks. I'd love to dig in a little bit behind the Meeting Mentor and kind of share a little bit about when you got it started and where the passion or the spark came from behind, it becoming a business for you.
Yeah, well, I know I've always wanted to work for myself.
Okay.
And I had the opportunity to be coached at my previous job. I was the marketing director at a large dental firm, and we had a consulting agency, and we were paired with a coach, and I really enjoyed my relationship with her. She was just helping me set goals, hold myself accountable to those plans, kind of troubleshoot any problems I had at work. And one day I said, how do I do what you do? I really like what you get to do for me, and I'd love to do it for other people. She said I should look into coaching. I did that, got certified, and started my business in 2020.
I love that. What is that certification specifically?
I am a certified life coach.
Okay, nice. So there is a specific certification.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can get certified in a variety of topics. The practice of coaching itself is a pretty standard philosophy that you can learn through a certification program. It's not a regulated industry, so anyone can call themselves a coach.
Yeah.
But having the certification both, gives my clients the confidence that I've done the work to be able to serve them well, and then also gave me a little bit of direction when I was first starting out.
Yeah, that's great. So it was birthed kind of out of you experiencing a life coach and realizing, wow, this is really cool. I appreciate your service. And I feel like I would really love to provide that to others.
Yeah. And so when I started, I was doing leadership coaching for small businesses.
Okay. Almost like consulting kind of things?
Okay. Yeah. A lot of it was goal setting and trying to figure out organizational structure. My degree is in organizational interpersonal communication from UNC Chapel Hill. So I've used sort of that study and education that I've gotten and coupled that with the coaching piece. But when COVID hit, I lost a bunch of my clients because, of course, it was sort of a luxury service for them to pay for their team, their leaders to be coached.
Yeah.
So that's when I sort of shifted focus, and now I work primarily with working women and mompreneurs.
Okay, nice. To kind of like similar things, help them goal set, stay on the right path, kind of make sure they're hitting what they need to do to be growing in whatever kind of they're doing.
Yeah, I really focus on helping people create meaningful experiences at work and at home.
Okay.
So really when the pandemic hit, there was a lot of pressure on working parents, especially women who are trying to juggle, their kids' virtual school and also maintain their careers, provide for their family, but also keep their family safe during the pandemic. And so it really created an opportunity where people were desiring the support system that a coach really offers to say, like, is this really worth it? Our time was so limited at that time. It still is, obviously, but it really the pandemic shed light on an issue where people were feeling their work wasn't purposeful or it was impeding on their lives or their family life. And so that created a real opportunity for me to support them and help them pursue whatever passions they want. So a lot of my clients are starting their own business, and so I'm helping them think through that, or they're transitioning from one career to the next, or they're really just looking to minimize their responsibilities at work so they can give more to their family. So a lot of work-life balance, a lot of goal setting.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so tell me, you get a new client, right?
Yeah.
And they come on. What does those initial meetings look like to, I'm sure you're learning a lot about them, where they're currently at. What does some of that initial kind of setup look like to where you're really on the role of, holding them accountable, setting certain goals, things like that?
That's a great question. Some people will work with me just 1 to 3 times, 1 to 3 sessions, just to troubleshoot a problem that's going on in their life. Perhaps they feel their job isn't the right fit for them and they're trying to figure out if this is the right move they should make in their career. Other people who I've worked for years at a time or want a long-term relationship usually starts with some vision casting. And so I'll give them some questions to work through on their own about what they want their life to look like in 5 to 10 years, what sort of values they think drive the decisions that they make. And a lot of people struggle with that. So that'll be part of the first few conversations of what are the things that I really value in my life and how do I want my life to be aligned to those things.
Yeah.
And then I use a lot of the productivity tools and training that I have to aid them in creating a lifestyle that will help them honor those values.
Yeah, that's good. What about, somebody who's definitely struggling, right, with either balancing things or moving forward, but they're struggling with the idea of maybe paying or even just in general getting help from somebody to tell them what to do. What do you? I'm sure you kind of battle that with people of like, okay, this is good seeking a life coach. Why should somebody kind of seek that out and kind of battle that maybe pride or maybe the need to figure it out on their own, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I tell people all the time, hey, look, coach's job is not to tell you what to do. It's to help you create space in your life to focus on the things that are important and then take action steps to move forward. So a lot of times people have a misconception that a coach is someone who's just going to give you advice or tell you how to live your life. That's not really it. And so I think overcoming that barrier initially and letting people know oftentimes you need someone to talk to, and your own natural support systems can be overburdened, or those people could have too much of a stake in sort of the decisions that you make, like a spouse or someone who supports you, but now all your conversations are having to be around that. That kind of space can put a lot of pressure on the relationship, or maybe at work you can't speak as freely to your colleagues about the things that you're struggling with there. So a coach can just be an outlet where the person is all for you and you don't have to have a relationship with them where you have to give anything to it. The client doesn't, need to serve me in any way. And so it's really just a space for them to say, hey, for this hour, every couple of weeks, I'm just going to unpack how I'm doing, what I want to do moving forward, and I'm going to have someone hold me accountable to making some of those changes in my life.
Yeah, that's really good. I love what you said about coaches aren't there to tell you what to do, right? I know. So I have some background in not life coaching, but fitness coaching.
Oh, great!
And it's funny, more or less, we're going to tell them what to do. But we can't make them do anything,
right?
Nor do we want to, right? Like I see kind of my role in some of that is to, encourage them in certain things that I know have been proven for other people to help you reach the goals that you want, right?
Yeah, it really is about their goals. So exactly. I'm sure you could, a lot of business coaches perhaps will say, do these 5 things and you can have, make 100K in your first year or whatever in business. Right. But that's assuming the person is willing to do whatever to get that and that is what's going to make them happy. And so you probably know with fitness coaching too, you don't know what their end goal is of that time, money and time investment that they're putting in. So really understanding that as a coach is the most important thing to be able to help the person.
Yeah. So would you say, we call that almost their why, right? Yeah. Figuring out your client's why, really what's motivating them to be doing what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. And that probably helps you, what you said earlier, vision cast and figure out kind of what those future goals might be.
Yeah. And then being able to give them tools, like I'm sure you do have to tell them the proper way to exercise or whatever it is. Sure. I do a lot of productivity training. So being able to provide those tools is really useful for my clients, but they're not useful if they're not going to aid some larger, bigger picture goal. They're not going to support something they're trying to work towards. So I bring those in when they're appropriate to help them move to the next level.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, tell me a little bit about kind of going back to you kind of getting this started or over the course of since it's been going on. What have been some challenges maybe just for you on the business side of things, right? Maybe doubts or fears you've had getting it started or as it's pursued and kind of how you overcame a few of those.
That's a great question. I think one thing I've struggled with is challenging this idea that there's a one size fits all, success story that my business needs to model. Maybe someone I see on social media, or someone who's doing something similar to me. And it's easy to coach other clients in that and say like, hey, you can define success for yourself and we can map that out and you can be narrowed in on your own unique values and your goals. But when it comes to doing it for yourself, it can be a lot harder. And so just reminding myself that it doesn't have to look a certain way and being flexible has been probably the most beneficial. I've seen the most growth when I'm most flexible about how I approach my business.
That's good. That's good. And I'm sure it can be tough because you're giving all this great advice out, but then almost kind of taking some of that yourself can probably be challenging.
Yeah, it is.
But that's really good. Being flexible with, especially with business. I mean, so many different things can happen on a business standpoint, right?
Yeah.
And especially things like COVID throwing your whole business out of whack, and that's great that you kind of made that pivot because you were kind of flexible probably with okay, maybe this doesn't need to look like how I originally saw it looking.
Yeah. So I think I used to want to have a really canned, polished approach that could replicate over time, which is a great business model to have, but I work in an industry where it's people oriented and not everyone needs the same thing. So I try really hard to create an experience for my clients that's going to fit their needs and I can deliver a much higher quality service to them because of that now.
Yeah, and you have to be flexible with that. Everybody's different.
Yep.
Are you naturally a pretty flexible person like in life or do you like a pretty strict schedule plan?
I'm pretty regimented, I'd say. I like to be able to put things in boxes. So I think that's why it was the biggest challenge for me.
Yeah.
But it has been really rewarding. So I'm reinforcing this new, character that I have. And I mentioned I'm a foster parent and we have kids coming in and out. And so that experience outside of business has really challenged me also to be flexible. So I think I had been learning in the last 5 years of my life in general of just got to go with the flow and meet the needs that the day has for you. So
that's awesome. That's really good. That's a great lesson to learn. Sweet. Thanks for sharing some of that.
Yeah.
Well, kind of as we're getting to the end here, I would love to hear, I always love to ask how you came to the name of your business. And then I would love to hear kind of where you see your business going in the next few years, and kind of what your vision casting is for yourself kind of moving forward.
Okay. Yeah, so the Meaning Mentor kind of sounds cheesy, but really helping women, again, create meaningful experiences at work and at home.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people sort of pick and choose. Not that, the saying is, women can have it all or they can't have it all. We do live in kind of within limits and constraints where we have our own values and things that we're trying to prioritize during different seasons of our life. So being someone who they can talk to and figure out what's going to create the most meaning for them and then pursue that has really what I've latched or tried to form my business around. And so I call it that because it's a space where people can really leave our time together, hopefully feeling like they've created a more meaningful path for their life.
Yeah.
And so what I have for the future, right now I'm developing a few online courses that I'll create around some of the coaching that I do on a regular basis so it can be a little bit more accessible for people. So one is a goal setting course, and the other is a small business starter course. So what if I want to work for myself one day? How do I do that in a very meaningful way? Think about creating a business that's going to serve me. And again, not just that canned approach. So a little bit more thought-provoking content around what it would mean to work for oneself. So I have those two courses that I'm working on launching, and that will just help me be able to reach a broader audience.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that might be something you expand on or just kind of see how it goes?
Yeah, I would love to have more content that I can make available online.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start with those two, and I don't have any intention of stopping the one-on-one coaching, so I really enjoy that as well.
Okay.
Except for a little bit when the baby comes.
Right. Well, probably have to pull back a little bit. Hopefully your clients understand.
Yeah, they do.
Good. That's awesome. Well, we'll definitely look forward to seeing some of that come out. And anybody listening, I mean, you'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that too.
Yeah.
Very last question I always like to ask, if there's anybody listening that kind of has a dream or a passion or an idea about a business, but they're maybe a little hesitant for whatever reason, what's some of that advice that you would give to somebody like that to kind of just take that first step or just really give it a shot?
I might be biased, but I would get a coach.
Okay. Yeah.
I would talk to someone about it and their experience.
Yeah.
Either, if you don't necessarily need a coach, but being able to have someone in your network that has done it and find out what their experience was like. Not that you have to replicate. Again, I said this a few times today, but you don't have to replicate their experience, but understanding what others go through can either inspire you or direct you away if those are things that you're not interested in pursuing. Yeah. So I would say build your network, know some people who have done it, and find out if that feels like the right fit for you.
Yeah, that is so good. Just get some wisdom on what other people have done.
Yeah.
Like you said, not to replicate, but find that common thread of okay, what these people are successful in, what I kind of want to do.
Yeah.
Where does that stem from, and how
and would that fit my lifestyle and my vision for myself?
Yeah, and it almost helps figure out, okay, before I want to do this, right?
Absolutely.
Some of that too. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, that's great advice. Well, Meaghan, thanks so much for joining and sharing your story and your family and kind of the background behind the Meaning Mentor. It's an awesome mission of kind of empowering women to be meaningful in the things that they do.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey guys, if this is something that you need, obviously reach out to Meaghan. But thanks so much for listening to another episode of Getting to Know the Triangle. There'll be more coming, but this was today's. I'm super thankful for Meaghan and your story. So thanks so much. Thanks so much, guys.